Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's interview with Jody Nicholson. Today, we're going to talk about a very interesting conversation that may be old hat to some of you, but a lot of you, there's a lot of new discoveries. There's no telling in the future with AI and all the discoveries that we're able to find that we're sitting right there in front of us. And one of the things that we're going to revisit today is something that you may have heard. There's a convention coming, and the convention surrounds a subject that's new to a lot of us, but some of you folks out there, this is something you've been sort of keeping an eye on for a while. And this is called Mind Sight. So we have Jody Nicholson today. Miss Nicholson, please introduce yourself and bring the audience into your journey.
Hi. So again, I'm Jody, and I am a teacher for the blind and visually impaired, and also a orientation and mobility instructor for the blind. And I'm just a girl from Orange, Virginia, small town. Um, been a teacher for a very long time, and teacher, like as I said, a teacher for the blind who has an interest in the subject. There is there was a convention actually recently back in this past summer called the Sci Games, and that's how I got connected with the seminar that I'm going to be participating in and, this weekend. But I had actually heard of MindSight previously when I was actually studying to be a vision teacher. I had learned of a MindSight school in Germany where children were seeing and reading and playing and running around with uh, blindfolds on. And the blindfolds that they use are actually the same type of blindfolds that we use in our training as teachers for the blind. And I knew that those are completely blackout blinds. You cannot see. No light really gets in. So I recognized the brand, the Mindset brand, and that's what we used for our training. So I thought that was very interesting, and I reached out to one of the main teachers who speak English that are on this continent. Her name's Wendy Gallant, and I asked her. I was like, I teach the blind. I'm curious about this, just to learn more. And she wasn't really ready for that at that time. So fast forward to this past summer when I went with some of my family to the Sci Games in Charlottesville, Virginia, and it's the first Sci Olympics ever. So it was really a fun thing, and I actually got to see the blind sight, or I should say, mind sight, demonstrated at that time. When in my studies for my to teach the blind, I did learn about something called blind sight, and that's something that can be explained or is explained by something called the different streams of your vision. So you have a ventral stream and a dorsal stream um, with your vision, and so part of your brain responsible for recognizing what you're seeing versus um, recognizing where you're seeing something. So some people may be blind, but they might have something called dorsal vision. So they might know where movement is. So they might be able to perceive things. And also in my work with blind children, I've noticed some of their abilities. There are other things. There are echolocation. There are whole body perceptions that people use when they're blind to perceive the world. But that didn't really explain what I was seeing with the and what I saw demonstrated with the mind sight and the vision without eyes, such as being able to say, "Oh, that's this color," or "I can read that word." So I'm curious to learn more. Um, I'm curious how it can inform my understanding and our total understanding of how vision works, because vision isn't really totally understood. It's somewhat understood, but there's still something a bit mysterious about how vision actually works between your brain and your eyes. Basically you receive the signals um, on your retina, and those are turned into electrical impulses they go through your optic nerve, through the ventral and dorsal stream in your brain. So that processes the what, the where, and so forth. Um, and again, one of those things can be disrupted and it can cause a type of vision loss or even total vision loss, or just there's something called cortical vision impairment that where you can have perfectly healthy eyes, but you might have a disruption in your brain, the brain pathways, the vision pathways, or part of the brain that processes vision. And so part of what vision teachers actually do for students with that or patients with that, depending on where they work, is to help people learn to see. So that's like a long background in what my interest is. Moving forward, though, in the training, I know we're going to be using some. Some people say woo woo. I don't know, but I'm curious to learn about, and to discover what I can in the seminar. It's kind of a new frontier. So
Well, sounds like you're on the cutting edge of things. We'll certainly do a follow-up video as we get further into this. And just to wrap things up, I've heard different names: mind sight, blind sight, vision without eyes. There's a lot of conversations around this, and I suppose a lot of people are coming at it from different angles. But are you seeing the community coming together with some sort of unified approach, sort of a best practices in the industry, as it were?
okay, so I did mention that I had the first school I had heard about was a school in Germany that did that, and these are all kind of brandings except for the word blind sight. Um, so there's seeing without eyes, mind sight, vision without eyes, and there's it just depends on what school. I think there's a school in Russia, there's a school in Germany. Apparently, and I just learned this summer, the Indonesian royal family has a practice, an energy practice, where they're able to, and you've probably seen martial artists do this too, where they're blindfolded and they're fighting blindfolded.
Oh yeah, fighting a dozen people with him. I think Bruce Lee did that once.
They're going, they're doing obstacle courses. There are even like videos of people with total blackout, blindfolds on, driving go-karts.
So trying to put some meat on the bones of maybe the term intuition, if you will, sort of the mechanics of it.
I'm approaching this with a lot of curiosity and interest. I did have a student who, she would, I'd say, oh, she's totally blind, and I'd say, oh, we need to get the blue one, and somehow her hand would reach for the blue one. And
so
things
anecdotally,
like
you're
that.
seeing it in the field.
Like I've seen it, and I used to joke with her. I would say, "Oh, I said, you can trust your body. Your body's very intelligent because it keeps grabbing the right one." And it's kind of a joke between us, but it was kind of made me, pause to think.
So you have quote unquote insight that others might not have.
Well, I have experience that has piqued my curiosity.
Good.
And again, there's a school, this Indonesian royal family apparently, who used energy practices for things like that, and it's actually a martial arts school where they also, break metal bars, and they're able to do incredible physical feats using this, and the blind sight or the mind sight, depending on however, or seeing without eyes, however you want to kind of name it, is part of that practice. So it's all very interesting.
Well, I look forward to a follow-up on this.
Yeah.
We're up to 9 minutes and 16 seconds, so we'll be sure to get a lot of extra watch time on the algorithm.
Okay.
But folks, we'll do some shorts on this. But I think in the body of this, there's a lot of information, and I believe, will we be doing a follow-up video on this?
I will. I'm sure that I'm going to learn something. I will say I'm going to name drop. There's a rising star among this, if you want to call it that, in this field, Dalia Bergeon. And she actually was at the Psy Games, and I was there with my family when she was able to demonstrate really incredible ability to to see colors, to see shapes and numbers, like even at a very far distance. So we were able to see that, and she's actually going to be one of my instructors. So I just name dropped that.
Wow.
But she's a very lovely person. She's also the mother of one of the students, or I say students, one of the children who are a part of the telepathy tapes, which is like one of the #1 podcasts in the world. She has a daughter who's a non-speaking young lady with autism, and she's a part of that telepathy tapes. And her daughter was at the games also, Lido, and she was able to demonstrate telepathy at the side game. So we got to see that too.
So enough
I'll
name.
be able to connect with her.
So enough name dropping of those people. What about you? Didn't you just start a new business with some light therapy?
I did, yeah. And so I have
You're in Falls Church, Virginia with that business at this point?
I have regular office hours Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday in
Good.
Falls Church, Virginia.
And what's that company called?
License. It's called Luminosity VA.
Luminosity VA. And is there a website for that?
There is.
That's luminosityva. What is it? .com?
Luminosityva.com. Or
Oh, well,
you can
easy enough.
do add light in all one word. .com.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming in with us, and we'll be sure to do a follow-up video. That's 11 and a half minutes of fun and insightful discussion about blind sight. Thanks, Miss Nicholson. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Take care.